I know I've shared this before, but this summer I got to go skydiving. And I will do this. I did some research ahead of time because I do have four children. And on one hand, it seemed very reckless. But on the other hand, it was something that I had just wanted to do for a really long time. And so I did some research. I looked into it. They said that, well, and of course, they'll tell you this, right? They're like, it's riskier to drive your car to the skydiving place than to actually go skydiving. Like you're more likely to get in a car accident and lose your life than to go skydiving, right? And so they try to tell you like how safe it is and it's not that big of a deal or whatever. I didn't actually know what to expect though at all. And this place that we went to was just outside of the Twin Cities, it was on the east side in Wisconsin. And so it's a fairly casual operation. And so when I got there, I had no idea what to expect. What I didn't expect was how little it takes to go skydiving. So they make you watch a 7-minute video about the risks, and then you have to sign like 11 pages. And all the 11 pages is saying that if anything happens to you, you will not sue the facility. Like they're basically just making it very clear that all the risk is on you. But what they said then at the end of it just really stuck with me because they said there is some risk, but in exchange, you're going to get the thrill of a lifetime. There is some risk involved, right? But in exchange, you're going to get the thrill of a lifetime. And I think most of us know that if there's no risk, there's no reward. That anything that we've ever done that has felt worthwhile or meaningful, that there's always something on the line. But as I've thought about it more, this is 1000% how I have felt about decluttering and simplifying in minimalism, is that there was some risk involved. 10 years ago, when I decided to explore minimalism and see if it was the solution I was looking for, there was risk involved. When I was taking trip after trip to Goodwill and I had these little kids and I'm trying to decide like are they going to miss this stuff, right? There was some risk involved when I didn't know when my mom would come over and look around and be like, where'd all the toys go? There was some risk involved that I, would look foolish or that they would reject me or different things. There is risk involved. What I did not expect was that what I was signing up with minimalism was also the thrill of a lifetime, was the benefits of it, the peace, the freedom, the autonomy, all of the incredible benefits that I've gotten to experience now. I mean, I honestly don't think I would have gone skydiving. I don't think I would have finished my master's degree this year. So many things. I don't think I would have started a YouTube channel, right? When I look back, the risk that I took of decluttering and getting rid of stuff, oh my goodness, it was minuscule. It was so teeny tiny compared to all of the rewards that I have gotten to enjoy. And so today we're talking about planning our year. No matter if you are watching this replay at any point in the year, I think you will benefit from it. But we're going to talk about planning our year, some really practical steps and some new frameworks that we can look at. I promise you this is different, completely different than any other New Year workshop that you've ever done before. But what I want to encourage you is that simplifying your home will change your life, and you will look back and be like, oh my goodness, the risk, even though at times we get turned around and it feels scary, and the money we spent and what people are going to think and people in our household that aren't always cooperative. I know it feels like those are big obstacles right now, but I promise you, a year from now when we're doing the same workshop again, you also can look back and be like, oh my goodness, the benefits of it are so much greater, bigger, better than I ever could have imagined. And because I'll tell you this, like if we've gotten to spend any time together at all and you got to know me at all, I am a messy person. I couldn't care less about cleaning and cleaning routines and all of that. And so if minimalism just made my house easier to clean or like simpler to vacuum or whatever, I would not now have since dedicated my life to spreading this message, right? The reason that I continue every day and more videos and how do I say it like a different way is because it is such a disproportionate payoff. And what I gained from decluttering and simplifying my house and how we're going to apply it to calendar planning and habits and different things we're going to talk about today, it changed everything. It changed everything. And that's what I hear from other women now too, who have gotten to the other side of it, right? And they're like, oh my goodness, it changes everything. You tried to tell me, but I didn't know until I got here, right? And so at the end of the day, all I want is for you to feel confident and successful, to feel like you have autonomy, which just means the ability to pivot when life doesn't go quite as planned. I want you to look back this time next year and feel successful, whatever that means for you, whether it's as a mom showing up better for your kids, a grandparent getting to spend more time with your grandkids and teach them the things that you want to, or if you just want to on a nice Thursday, New Year's Day, to be able to sit with a cup of tea and look out the window and read a book and have no guilt, no shame, no silent to-do list in the back of your head going on. You want to spend a whole day binging Netflix and not feel guilty about it. I want that for you, right? Like there's cool things like master's degrees and all of that, but there's also just the daily like I want to take a nap today and not feel at all guilty about it, right? And so our goals, I use that word cautiously this time of year, what we would like for ourselves, our future versions of ourselves, it varies. It's very widely varied, but I think as women we all have it in common that if certain things in our house and life aren't in order, it is always hanging over the back of our head, and we can't fully relax and be present and become this best version of ourselves until that stuff is taken care of. And so here's what we're gonna cover today. We're gonna spend about an hour together. Replay available, all the things. I'm gonna reference some printables. They will be linked here. Obvious, you got an email with it as well. But if not, you can always email support@theminimalmom.com and we will get anything to you that you need. But here's what we're going to cover today. So the first section, we're going to talk about full year calendar planning, important dates and events. So very practical, guided, and why it's important to plan the full year ahead. Then this is the part that really jazzes me and excites me though. Priming the environment, understanding why we've failed with any kind of New Year's goals, habits, resolutions, that kind of thing in the past. It's not you. It's not you at all. And so I'm glad we can bring clarity to this and then make it happen. A different way to look at decluttering in 2026 and some cool mindset shifts and tools that we have too that also I'm very excited about. So, well, but real quick, hello. It's so good to see you today. If you are watching this around New Year's, like I hope you had a good New Year's Eve and everything. The kids were like, "We're staying up till midnight this year, right?" And I'm like, "Ugh!" Like I'm the happiest when I'm in bed with my heated blanket at 9 o'clock at night, you know. And so I'm like, "Yeah, we're doing it." And so I might have dozed on the couch from like 10:30 to 11:45, but we stayed up for it. We played some games and had some good food and all of that here at my parents' house, and so it was nice and it was fun. So, however you celebrated it, I hope it went well for you too. Let's talk real quick about full year calendar planning. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I want to get to the other parts of the workshop. But do know you should have gotten a link to these 4 pages of printables. And so it's a guide for planning the full year. And this was something that I first heard Jordan Page talk about from Fun, Cheap, or Free. And she would do this at the beginning of every year is they would lay out the full calendar for the year ahead and plan all the big things, the family vacations, the kids camps, the start and end of school years. When do the kids' vacations fall for the year? Valentine's Day, anniversaries, birthdays, any kind of celebration that you do or other important dates that your family does, and getting it all on the calendar right away at the beginning of the year. And why this is so important is we know this, right? Overwhelm comes from surprises, not from busyness. It's when the year sneaks up on us that everything feels reactive. And even my mom has this dream of all of us, me and my kids and my sister and her kids and my brother, mom and dad, going to a cabin on a lake for a week. Minnesota, Wisconsin, she doesn't care, but she's just always imagined this. And so my kids now are 11 through 16, so we're almost bumping up against the upper end. And then my sisters now are 2 through 7. So she's finally like, okay, we're through like baby stage and all the napping and all of that and packing your whole house to go. So she was like, all right, I think it would be practical this year, right? Well, oh, crud. Like we started looking at Airbnbs and all the things. And I'm like, they're like all booked for the year, like something that we would need big enough for all of us. And so, but we're already starting that conversation of the dates and, like we're kind of at the mercy of what's available and whatnot. But what's cool is actually right now, it still is kind of fun to plan and to think about and to look at the especially in Minnesota, it's like freezing and snowy right now, to think about where could we go and what kind of amenities and what lake it would be on and renting a pontoon and all of that and looking at dates. It's actually fun right now. If we wait much longer, especially into April or May, very stressful, even more limited options, dates are filling up. And so I think we've all experienced this before. When we're a little more proactive, then it doesn't feel as stressful and it's sometimes even a little bit enjoyable. But it's when we're caught reacting and we don't have as many options, things are more expensive, it's taxing our resources in different ways that it is not enjoyable at all. And so our brain feels calmer when it can predict what's coming. Seeing busy seasons ahead reduces anxiety and decision fatigue. And so, one other thing that I learned from Jordan too that her and Bubba would do would be that they would swap Valentine's Day and their anniversary. And so one would plan Valentine's Day and then one would plan their wedding anniversary. But again, that takes some foresight, right? And a little pre planning. And so that's why, especially if you have a spouse or partner, I think being able to sit down with them, divvy up things like who's in charge of what, or even for the vacation, okay, you're going to find the rental, I'm going to plan the packing list or whatnot. Again, those are the things we can think about right now when we can do it a little proactively, not so much as the events get closer. And so again, those printables are available to you. And so there's things to jog your memory. There's lists there to go through. So you don't, I know our brains are full and overwhelmed and a little tired right now. So you can just literally go through the list. It might jog your memory for some other things too that you might think of. And so we have kind of typical things that come up for any household. And then we have like the federal holidays on there as well. And so just taking a little bit of time, I don't think it would take more than an hour. Maybe if you have to text other family members or whatnot, or if you have older kids that you have to arrange schedules. But again, if you're proactive, if you're getting on your teenagers and your young adult kids' calendars now, like, hey, block out this week. This is when family, vacation is. A lot easier now than trying to do that down the road. I mean, doesn't mean they're not going to need reminders and whatnot. So you're going to have 3 tasks when you're done today. The first task is to use the printables to start mapping out the year. And again, you're not planning every detail. We're looking more big picture here, but you're just making the invisible visible, right? Because you're already mentally carrying all this. We're just making it more visible to everyone in your household, which feels really good. Okay, next, let's turn our attention to priming the environment. This is what excites me the most right now. And so I did get my master's in psychology this year. I've always been fascinated by human behavior. Like, why do we do what we do? Why do we keep the stuff that we do? But also, what keeps us like stuck and failing? Out of college or in college, I also worked as a personal trainer. And it was just good, like so helpful and good. I worked with a lot of women that were the age I am now, right? And I was in my 20s. That I would be such a better trainer right now than I was back then because I was just like, well, I don't get it. Why don't you want to go to the gym in the morning, right? I'm like, I love going to the gym, right? And I'm like, OMG, like I understand it, right? But it's always been fascinating to me, like what motivates us, what derails us, what holds us back, and about a month ago, I started just kind of diving back into the book Atomic Habits, which is written by James Clear. And he's kind of like that book has become very popular and referenced often when it comes to habit formation. And if you watch the pre videos for this, you saw him in all of it, right? But as he was talking about our environment, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is it. This is what I have experienced over the last 10 years. This is where I've seen women fail, and this is where I've seen women succeed. And I love this quote from Deepak Chopra. And he says, you can't make positive choices for the rest of your life without an environment that makes those choices easy, natural, and enjoyable. Without an environment that makes those choices easy, natural, and enjoyable. And I have to tell you what, as women, I think we are so used to any kind of new thing, habit, goal, anything that we want to do, from being healthier, cooking at home, not eating out, not wasting money, sticking to our skincare, vitamin routine. As women, we're so used to all these things being hard, right? And they require willpower and discipline and self-control. And so, I mean, I very much remember too, my mom will, I'm sure she'll watch watch the replay. She was in Weight Watchers, and they would track. I think that's when they just started going to like the points system and whatnot. And so they would track points, and then they would go to a meeting and they would do a weigh in there, and then they would get like little pins if they had met their goal. And they would stay and they would have like a little lesson or whatnot, teaching thing, learning about nutrition and whatnot. And so sometimes she would try to make the meeting and stay for that, but if not, she would just go and weigh in, especially if she knew it had been a good week. And so she would have picked us up from school or soccer practice, and we would sit in the car. They met at this like church, and we would sit in the car while she would go in and weigh in. And we would know if it was a good week or not if she came out with some kind of pin or ribbon or something, right? That like showed the progress and what they were doing. And I'm like, that was so brilliant. Like you had the group built in and, celebrating progress. But there were some weeks, I forget, I think it was Mondays. And there were some weeks where like, oh, mom, do you gotta go to Weight Watchers, And she's like, no, it wasn't a good week. I'm not going. Right. Um, but I just remember how hard she worked at that, right? And again, I think most of us can relate. Anything new or different we've tried to do, it just often is really hard and requires a lot of discipline, right? So actually, this is quite a foreign thought, I think, for most of us, that we could have an environment that makes those choices easy, natural, and enjoyable. I think that seems completely foreign and kind of ridiculous, even, right? If I'm like, good news, if we can get our environment in order, weight loss is going to come easily, cooking healthy, getting out and exercising, any relational things you want to do, skin routines, morning routines, evening routines, like we could actually make those easy, natural, but also even like kind of fun and rewarding too. I think most were like, yeah, like, okay, I'm gonna, get off this infomercial now, right? Like, nice try, right? But what is so cool is this is what I've experienced, right? That when I got my house highly simplified and decluttered, right, to the point that we called ourselves minimalist, which all that meant was we only had stuff in our home that we were using every single day. If we weren't using it, then it was gone. I was just like, I got to try this out, right? And when we did that, then the health goals were easier. Getting out of debt was so much easier. All of these things that we had wanted to do, being more present as a parent, it became so much easier. And again, to the point where to me, it feels like a disproportionate payoff, getting our house simplified and decluttered, that it made it so much easier. And so I do want to share a quick clip here from James Clear. Thanks for bearing
is to make it
here.
easy. This is all about making it simple, frictionless, easy to do. The more convenient or frictionless your habits are, the more likely they are to occur. Daniel Kahneman, the famous psychologist, I think he once said that if you were to boil behavior down to like a single principle, a single thing that drives human behavior, it's convenience, it's ease. What is the easy thing to do? We are biological organisms and we expend energy to live. And it is in your best interest to try to conserve energy whenever you can. And so the more your brain is wired for it, you're always looking for it. In fact, many of the largest businesses in the world basically just take a human desire that we already want to do and try to make it even more convenient. Like DoorDash is just like, you need food, just tap a couple times with your thumb and we'll give it to you. And the more that you can make your habits more convenient, the more likely it is that you're going to stick to it and follow through. Walk into the rooms where you spend most of your time each day, your office, your living room, your bedroom, and then look around and ask yourself, what is this space designed to encourage? What behaviors are easy here? What behaviors are obvious here? And the good habits that you say you want to build, are those the path of least resistance? Is that the obvious thing in this environment? And if not, maybe you can make some adjustments to try to make the good habit easier and the distractions maybe a little bit harder. So that's first thing, prime the environment to make the action easy.
So again, I think that we don't actually have any business trying to set any kind of new goals with habits or anything that requires us to change things, to do something different, or to learn something different until we get our environment in order, which again, I believe means highly simplifying it and decluttering it. And this is something we've been talking about in our membership community more lately too. Even if we look at our kitchen, and if our kitchen is messy, can we really expect ourselves to meal plan and meal prep and try new healthy recipes and commit to a new way of eating, or commit to new cleaning routines, or to even having our kids help clean and cook, which a lot of us want to if we still have kids in the house, or I mean, not even to mention entertaining, like what? And so I think if we can look at our environment and ask ourselves, how has your environment sabotaged you or worked against you in the past? And so, if you do think back to some of these new habits or things that you've tried to do or wanted to do, can you look back now and see a pattern that, hey, maybe my environment was making it so much harder and requiring so much more self control to make these things happen than it should have, that these habits were a lot harder because it wasn't easy, because my environment wasn't primed and it wasn't set up for success. This idea, again, that our environment is actually playing a very, very big and key role in our ability to follow through with these all these good habits that we are wanting to do. Again, if you can ask yourself and look around, and this is your second task for the workshop, is to just look around and really take inventory of what is working for you and what is working against you. You know, to the point too where in we've been talking about in our membership community this week of really like going through each space and looking at our kitchen. And my YouTube video for today too is about this in the kitchen, and we can link it here so that you have access to it too. But we don't often think about, you know, knick-knacky things sitting out on the counter, on the windowsills, or extra, little appliances that we don't really use all the time, or just the regular counter clutter. We don't think of it as like, oh, that's keeping me from becoming the person I want to be, right? Like most of us won't jump to that. Like, oh, my kitchen is messy and cluttered, therefore I can't become the best version of myself that I'm hoping to be. Like, to make that connection feels kind of like almost like a stretch, right? Except for this is exactly what I've experienced, and I know other women have experienced too, especially now in a season where most of us, our brains are fried. And so to even try, and to the point too where many of us don't even try to make New Year's resolutions or commitments, even though there are a lot of things we would like to do better and differently, we've kind of just resigned to the fact of like, I'm not even gonna try, like fool me once, right? Like it doesn't work. And so why would I set myself up for failure again? But when we can get our environment in order, oh my goodness, like the magic happens. And so I hope this is actually a relief to you that it's not you, it's your environment. You haven't failed in the past because you lack willpower and self control. We all lack willpower and self control. We start out with a good amount of it in the morning, and we can look past the cookies or the different things. The clutter, it isn't like so loud in our head, but by the end of the day, oh my goodness, right? And so it's not you, it's your environment. And so when we can set up our environment, we can declutter through the lens of an environment that supports us. Wow, that is so powerful. And we're going to come up in the third part. We're going to talk about some new decluttering tactics that I'm really excited about, but it's not you, it's the environment. And I've referenced this study before, but they put people in one of like two different environments. One was a clean kitchen, tidy kitchen. One was a messy, cluttered kitchen. They had them do a task that required like some concentration and thinking. And on the counter, they had carrots and some healthy veggie options. And then they also had a bowl of cookies. And so they had to do this task that was a little bit taxing. And then they were free to have whatever snack or whatever they wanted while they were in the space. And the people that were in the cluttered, messy kitchen were more likely to reach for the cookies and overeat on the cookies than those that were in the less cluttered environment. So again, we're all managing so much right now. So much. We have so much on our plates, so much on our mental to-do list that we're trying to do constantly. So we are pretty much always in a state of being overextended and kind of depleted. And so our environment has never been more important. Maybe in the past it wasn't as big a deal, but I think now our environment is more important than ever. And again, I hope this is good news, and I hope it simplifies things here at the beginning of the year for you, because what I would encourage you is to just focus on your house and your environment. Don't worry about, the healthy eating and the getting out of debt and those things that actually really require a lot of mental bandwidth. What if we put those aside? Or if you watch the upstream, downstream, what if we trust those are going to come downstream? And what if I work on this really powerful upstream, this base habit of just getting my house decluttered and keeping it tidy, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. What if I just focused on that here for at the beginning of this new year, and I just had laser focus? Again, I don't worry about those other things. They're going to wait their turn, because once I get to them, they're going to be a lot easier, right? Because I'm doing this foundational work right now. And so could we just really simplify things right now and say, go all in on decluttering and simplifying your house? It's that important. Sometimes moms will ask, like, well, like, is it okay if I just like let my kids watch a lot more TV right now while I'm trying to declutter? I would say yes, over and over and over again, because and that's what I did too. When my kids were little, they were like infant through 4 at the time. Um, because the payoff is so great. And if I look at back now, I'm like, okay, so over the course of a year, it took me about a year to get my house decluttered. They watched more. It's not like they watched TV, all day, every day. They watched more TV than I would have liked, especially for little kids, right? But the benefits and what we've gotten to enjoy since then, oh my goodness, I would do that over and over again. Like, the cost of that was so low compared to all of the benefits that we've gotten to enjoy. So again, what if we put the blinders on and just really focus on um on our environment right now? Okay, so I'm proposing to you that your goal is to just get your house simplified, right? But let's talk about how we actually make that happen. Because it's one thing to be like, hey, yeah, that sounds good. But I also know once we get into it and we start getting into decluttering, again, our brains are tired and overwhelmed. And so we can just get kind of turned around or forget why we're doing what we're doing, right? I'm like, oh, I'm really inspired right now. But then I get into it and I see the stuff I spent money on and whatnot. So let's talk about 3 things that are really important for success. So again, the environment, we've already touched on that quite a bit, but then some tools that we have that are so powerful.
Is there anything that you've learned, any frameworks, any tactics for making sure you get past that first 5 minutes so you can get into the flow of the habit?
Yeah, there's multiple things. So first thing is try to prime the environment to make the first action easy. Prime the environment to make the first action easy. I have a bunch of readers who do stuff like set their running clothes out the night before, so they're right next to the bed. You got your clothes and your shoes there. You're trying to prime the environment to make the action easy. Okay, so how can you set up the spaces that you're in to prime those habits?
So here's what's interesting about this, and the direction I want to take it is that I think it's very important when we're talking about like priming the environment and the habit that, like, so what's the habits that we're initially going to do here to help get our house in order? And so there's a couple things here that we're going to break it down into. And so one is, we have to figure out ways to keep our house tidy even while we are going through this decluttering process. Because if we just start pulling stuff out and everything's getting messy and whatnot, it's very overwhelming. And again, that's often where we give up, and our family's like, what are you doing? And we're like, I don't know, right? And so there's a couple things here and tools that we've come up with that I think are really helpful. So one is having the same place that we start every single time. We don't want to use, again, any of our precious brain power or energy or bandwidth on trying to, look at my house and trying to figure out where to start. And so 2 habits that we really have been dialing in our membership community are doing the dishes every day. Can't get away from that, right? But also keeping your kitchen counters tidy. So keeping them cleared off. And so again, if we have the same starting point every day, and so I know I walk into my kitchen, I'm not going to use any brain power. I am going to get the dishes done, whatever that looks like, if you have a dishwasher or not, and I'm going to tidy up my kitchen counters. And I think this is so powerful because so many of our habits actually do flow out of the kitchen. A lot of our the money that goes into running our household funnels out of the kitchen, like groceries, whether we cook at home or eat out and all of that kind of stuff. And so, like, the kitchen is very central. And so again, we say like, okay, we want to simplify this. So we're going to start in the same spot every single day. So it's always dishes and clearing the counters. And we have a few other like foundational habits that we talk a lot about: creating a uniform, having a very simple command center where we know all of our paper stuff goes, and keeping our bedroom floors clear. And so we have these that we call them foundations first, where it's like, always I am going to do that. And then the other thing, you've probably heard us talk about this too, is 5 minutes matters. And so having this tool of setting a timer for 5 minutes, even on the days when we don't feel like it, right? And committing to doing that. So 5 minutes matters is a battle cry inside of our community. And I know, often many women will be like, oh, Dawn, if you saw my house, you wouldn't even, I mean, there's not enough 5 minute matters in a week, right? It's not about that. It is because consistency increases capacity. So it starts out as just 5 minutes, right? You know this. You've experienced this, right? It's getting going. It's getting the ball rolling. That's why this is so powerful. And so again, here's another thing from James about why 5 minutes matters.
It's very easy to get excited about all the changes you can make. You start thinking, even if you don't say this explicitly, you think like, what would peak performance look like? If I could really get my habits dialed in, what could I do? And you start imagining 5, 6, 7 things that you would do and what all of them would look like in their perfect form and so on. And I think instead of asking ourselves, what could I do on my best day? It's better to start by asking, what can I stick to even on the bad days? And that becomes your baseline. That becomes the first step. And now that you have this floor that is achievable, even when you're tired, even when you're exhausted, even when you don't have much time, now you can show up and feel like you're succeeding, and then you can progress from there. One of the most motivating feelings to the human mind is the feeling of progress. If you feel like you're making progress, even if it's smaller than what you ultimately hope to do, you have every reason to move forward. But often we become like a victim of our expectations. We spend all this time optimizing the perfect plan and then expect things to go perfectly out of the gate. And you had it so built up in your mind that once you don't hit that mark in the first or second or third day, it falls apart.
Isn't that so true? Haven't we experienced that before too? And so this is often something that we talk about too a lot is, having our house worst day ready, not best day. Especially we just came through the holidays. We had a really good Christmas. Christmas Eve was great. And when I looked, I have like one of these Aura rings now, right? Um, it measures like sleep, stress level, cycle stuff, all that, right? But stress level. And when I looked at my stress for Christmas Eve day, that was the day we celebrated here and the kids were here and Diana and her family came here and everything. I had 10 hours of stress. That is the most I've ever had in a day. Usually it'll bounce between 1 to 5 maybe. I try to keep it like around 1 mostly, right? 10 hours, right? And it's a good thing we don't put Christmas on, every day. But again, like there's just always something, right? There's always something that is coming up. There's health issues. There's things with our kids that, we get sidetracked. There's just things that break down and in the house that stop working. There's always something that is requiring extra of us. Always. Always. And it's not bad, it's not wrong. That's just life. And so I think that's probably what surprised me too when I did simplify my house. Cause, when I started out decluttering and pursuing minimalism, I'm like, okay, I just want to get to a point where my house feels easy, where I can not only like take care of these kids I have now, which I'm so grateful for, but also like I really enjoyed blogging and that kind of stuff and doing website design for other people. And I'm like, I want to do both. Like I want it all. Right. And so I'm just going to declutter my house until I get to a point where I feel like I can actually do both those things. And what shocked me was how far I actually had to go, how much stuff I actually had to get rid of to create an environment that was supporting me. And that did actually make it possible where I could have 4 little kids, ages 1 through 4 or 5, and also do this work that just was really fulfilling and enjoyable to me at the time. And so I was like, oh, it is possible. And also, wow, I had to go so much further than I thought to have a house that could withstand the unexpected stomach bug and trips to the ER and just, all the things that we juggle. And again, I think most of us, we have no idea how far we actually have to go. And we do get kind of stalled out in the middle, right? It's just like, is this worth it? Is this even, maybe I was confused thinking that this was going to be the solution. No, I do think it is the solution. I 1000 percent think it is. I think it's just shocking how far we actually have to go. So this is where we have to have our tools and our tactics and worst day proof our house, right? So we have a set starting point. We do the dishes and we tidy the kitchen counters. We have these little tools, these little brain hacks we use. 5 minutes matters. Okay, I have no energy today. I'm tired. I'm spent. My day went off the rails. It's later than I thought, but I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes and do the thing, tidy up my house or declutter one drawer that I've committed to doing. And also, I do hope that you got to watch the video on hats, haircuts, and tattoos, which again, I think is just another fun tool, mindset shift, a different way of looking at things. But if you did get to see that clip with James Clear too, he was talking about decision making. He was talking to it about just like decisions in general in life. But I'm like, that applies to decluttering so much, right? Again, often we get into decluttering and we're kind of surprised that it's kind of emotional. There's like weird connections we have with this physical stuff, right? We got on the outside, we can be like, all right, this stuff isn't worth it. This stuff is keeping me from who I want to be. I don't want to manage this stuff anymore. And then we like hold up a mug that we got from the dollar store, right? Back when things were actually still $1. And I'm like, oh no, but what if I want to use it next year? I didn't use it this year, but maybe next year I want to do my little Oreo recipe in there and have it ready to give to a neighbor or whatnot, right? And all of a sudden, like this dollar item is taking like 5 minutes of my time and my mental bandwidth, right? And so that's where we have to have these tools and these hacks and these different mindset shifts to be like, okay, hats, haircuts, and tattoos. Where does this fall? This is a hat. This meaning it's inconsequential. I could get rid of this and I will honestly never, ever, ever think about it again. But even worst case, if it's, next Christmas and I'm like, oh, I really want to do that cute little crafty thing, I can go to the dollar store. I can go to Goodwill. I can go somewhere, and find it again. It's very inconsequential. Even if I did get rid of it and need it, I'd be like, yeah, okay. Like it's not costly. It's not a big deal, right? So to be able to have a different lens. Now, maybe you are coming, up against something that you're like, oh, I have these like vinyl records and they're irreplaceable and they're signed and it was my grandpa's and whatnot. Well, okay, that's different, right? That's different. The problem is often these things are like sitting next to each other on the shelf or in the box, right? And we're just like whiplash, like, okay, right? Okay, well, that's maybe more of a haircut or tattoo kind of decision. Do you know what's cool though? I can skip over these ones right now. We have so many of these types of decisions in our house. I can literally skip over the hard ones because they're pretty few and far between, pretty few tattoo ones, right? All right, I'm going to set those aside from right now. They're going to wait their turn. I'm going to keep going on these types of decisions right now. And so we have tools, we have, these different hacks and things that we do, but I do understand how we get into it. We get a little turned around. We forget what they were and whatnot. So why don't we talk real quick about the power of community?
A lot of our identity, not the whole thing, but large portions of our identity are tied to our relationships. This is something that widely influences our habits. So we are all part of multiple groups. Sometimes that group is large, like what it means to be American or what it means to be British. Sometimes that group is small, like what it means to be a neighbor on your street or a member of this family or a member at the local CrossFit gym. But all of the groups that you belong to, large and small, have a set of shared expectations for how you act, have a set of social norms for what you do in that group. And when your habits go with the grain of the expectations of the group, they're pretty attractive. Like you want to stick to them, you get praised and rewarded for it, you fit in. And when they go against the grain of the expectations of the group, they're kind of unattractive. You get criticized and it doesn't feel good. And so if people have to choose between, I have habits that I want, but I'm cast out, I'm ostracized, I'm criticized, or I have habits that I don't really love, but I fit in, I belong, I'm part of something. Most of the time, the desire to belong overpowers the desire to improve. And so you want to do something different, but you also know you're going to be heavily criticized for it, or you're going to at least add friction to your relationships. And we don't want to live with that dissonance of I can have this, but I also create friction here. One of the lessons, I think, one of the big takeaways, if you want to build better habits and get habits to stick, particularly for the long run, is you want to join groups where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. Join groups where you can rise together, where the people that you're surrounded by have the type of habits that you want to have.
Isn't that so good? So here's where I put a quick plug for our membership community. If you are looking for some more community around decluttering. Now, some can just watch YouTube videos, listen to podcasts, different things, and get your house fully decluttered. I think that's awesome, especially if you have supportive people in your household. It actually makes a big difference as he's talking about our groups and who's around us. If you have a supportive environment around you, maybe your spouse is on board, your partner, they don't push back, your kids, they might grumble here and there, but mostly they're like, yeah, these are good, changes you're making, mom. Like you are so fortunate, and that is so cool, and I love that for you so much, right? Others of us, it isn't that way, and we sometimes feel like we're sneaking stuff out of the house, or we're like, "No, I didn't touch your stuff, like, it was just mine, I promise." We're selling stuff or donating. They're like, "Well, was that, was any of my stuff in there or whatnot?" Or they're questioning us, and a lot of times, again, they're not even necessarily trying to be difficult. It's because we're wired to hoard. We're wired to store up stuff, so for lean times, right? And so if you have a little bit of a neutral or negative atmosphere in your house around this, or you have others that are, sometimes critical of what you're doing or just don't understand. I mean, it's usually because they don't understand. They don't have a value for it. You do. That can be really hard. And especially when we're already trying to undertake something that's not the easiest goal in the whole world, right? Then to feel like we have others around us that aren't supporting us and work against us. Or if you are kind of the type two where you're like, yeah, I just tend to overthink things, right? My brain goes negative, it goes worst case scenarios. And so a lot of times these decluttering decisions that might be easier for someone else feel hard for me, right? We're all a product of our experiences up until this point. And so if you have experienced scarcity or lean times, or depending on how we all grew up, like, we have different connections with our stuff, and it's often complicated and it's frustrating and it's silly at times, right? But that's where the community around you is so important. And again, I want to emphasize this for any change that you're trying to make. I look back at my mom's Weight Watcher group, and again, I'm like, I feel like they were ahead of their times because they met in person, they shared tips and skills. Everyone, when you walked in that building, you knew, like, there was no shame. Everyone was on the same journey. But a big thing too, I guess I don't have that clip handy here, but they celebrated their progress. If you lost a pound, that was a big deal. It didn't matter if your goal was 100 pounds. Oh, you did 100th of it. Yes, that's huge, right? Like, that's a big deal. That means you're becoming the type of person who shows up and does the hard things and makes the decisions that are sometimes uncomfortable, right? That's a huge deal. That is absolutely something to be celebrated. But again, for a lot of us around us, like, we don't have people cheering us on. We're trying to hide it. We're tired. We're overwhelmed. We're feeling a little bit discouraged. We're like, could somebody just encourage me right now, right? And so I get it. Like, I understand it. And that's why we created our membership community. I'm just going to spend like a minute on this, and then we're going to move on. And I do want to answer some of your questions and whatnot too. So get your questions ready. If you have a question, put a question mark in front of it. We designed our membership community. I've been running it for 6 years now. So I'm not good at a lot of things, but I can help you declutter your house. We've got it so dialed in. So during the week, every day, we have just a 5-minute video that's telling you how to do it, what to do, reminding you why we're doing it. Again, this week, we're talking all about creating an environment where habits thrive. Decluttering looks different when you look at it that way. So daily videos with me, myself, and I. We do live decluttering every other Friday as well. This is cool though. This is something I'm really proud of. We have daily body doubling. So we have a bunch of body doubling coaches, and they show up every day at 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. for at least an hour and a half, but most of the coaches go longer, and it's just work time. So again, body doubling is just where you work alongside someone else. And so you can show up having a bad day, no energy, tired, kids are crabby, whatever. And you get on there and you draw on the energy of others, and it is so powerful. And again, this creates the accountability. This is the meeting my mom would go to, right? Others there live in person doing the same thing that you are trying to do. So cool. But probably the coolest thing we've added in the past year is our weekly home management class. Because what I found was that we're trying to get our house decluttered. But also, as women, most of us, we also have to stay on top of the meal planning, calendar planning the vacations, the birthdays, the Christmas. We still have all that stuff. Like, we don't get to put all of that on hold while we declutter our house and create this really awesome environment that is going to make all this stuff easier, right? We have to do both at the same time. And so we meet every Saturday morning and we do this together. We meal plan, we plan our calendar. But we don't just do it together. We talk about how to keep it simple, the best tips and tactics and tools. It is so good and so powerful. When we added this at the beginning of this past year, I was like, well, that'll be good. I need help staying on track with my meal plan and, calendar and all that, like taking a little time each week to go through my action paper, like bills to pay, things to send back, staying on top of all that. Like, I would like the accountability. it has been so much cooler and better, again, because we just get to do it together. And so that has been super cool. And so our membership community, it's just a monthly fee. It's $22 a month right now. We have a New Year's special, normally $45. We will just help create an environment where you can be successful. We'll remind you, why are we doing this, right? We'll help you make the tough decisions when it comes to more of the haircut and tattoo decisions. We will give you the tools that you need. We'll provide the community and the support, the times on the calendar. Hey, see you Saturday morning at 8, for our home management class. Tell your family, like, hey, I'm taking this new class. It's pretty important. Like, I get to block out that time, somebody else watch the kids or whatnot. We have replays available too, but it's pretty cool if you can join live. Friday morning decluttering live together. Like this Friday, we're going to go through offices. Like, how do you create your desk and office area? Again, through that lens of creating an environment where habits can thrive. How do we simplify it? What do we get rid of? And so it's awesome. I am so proud of this group. I mean, it's one of the coolest things that I've gotten to be a part of. I think this is Miss Bailey says, I've been in the group for a couple of years now, and it's the best money I spend every month. So thankful for you, Dawn. I can't explain how much you've changed my life. That's so humbling to me. Again, from a former messy person, I'm just like, how did I get here, right? Maria just joined 3 weeks ago. She said, so grateful for this membership. I totally underestimated the impact and been blown away at how helpful it's been in my life in such a short time. And so however I can support you. If the 800 YouTube videos I have are enough, like, we'll just keep hanging out there. That's awesome. If you could use a little more community and support and reminders about creating this environment where habits thrive, like, I would love to come alongside you. I'd love to bring you into this group of women that are so kind and gracious and supportive and encouraging, but also who represent every single walk season station of life. We have single women, we have empty nesters, we have women with kids, in the house, out of the house, single moms, not single moms, all of, pet moms, right? So it's not just for moms. It's not just for young moms or anything like that. It is for everyone. It is mostly all women, though, I will say that. But so kind, so encouraging, and will give you the support that you need. All right. So details are where details should be for that. I hope you join us. I would love to spend that time with you. I spend a ton of time in there. I would really enjoy that. So Jen says, 1 year ago, I started decluttering with Dawn's membership. It was hard, but her body doubling group and super Saturdays and challenges worked. After 9 months, I got to maintenance stage, and it's fun. That is, Jen, I love hearing that. Jen's super active in our community. Because I don't think to think less than a year from now, you could be in, we call it maintenance mode, where your house is decluttered and you're just doing the, regular upkeep of it. I hope that's really encouraging to you. And I know there have been a lot of tough things for Jen too. It's not like she was like, oh, I just got rid of it all and it wasn't that big a deal. Like, I know there's been a lot of, we've, gotten to support her a lot, which has been awesome. And I'm so glad for that. All right, let's answer some questions here. Let's see. Holly says, I'm 3 years in with you, Dawn. I love minimalism with my 2 young kids. Thanks to you. All that's left is paper and photos. Can you do a video on those? Yes. So I don't get into photos a lot because I do see that as advanced decluttering. So for anyone watching, let's leave photos till the end. A lot of those are like tattoo decisions because you can't replace a lot of them, right? And so but I get what Holly's saying. Like, yeah, I'm getting to that harder stuff now. So don't worry about photos until the very end. I do have videos on paper, and we have some good systems in that. So we can link those here. Jackie, who's my right-hand gal, is very good at finding the videos. So I'll make sure that they're linked here. But if you search Minimal Mom and Paper Clutter on YouTube, I think they should pop up as well. We have a really good sorting system. And then also our action and time will tell bin systems are just gold. We've definitely got that figured out as well. All right. Will you be starting the home management binder like now, beginning of the year, and go through that? So we've also created, as part of our home management class, a home management binder where we just keep all of our guides and checklists and everything together in one place. And so we don't go through it like front to back, but we reference it. So there's not really a starting point with it. That's what's also great about our community is you're never behind. It is very circular. And so you always just come in where we're at, and we just keep covering the same stuff over and over again. Let's see. For the body doubling, do people get to see my space to help? Yes, if you want to. So it's up to you. It all takes place over Zoom, and you can decide if you want your camera on or off. But if you have a specific question for one of the coaches and you're like, hey, can I show you this space? Yes, absolutely. Ooh, Shelly says, I need help getting the kids' playroom under control. So if I could offer a really big mindset shift around kids' toys, this is something I feel very passionately about after studying how kids' brains develop and what they need for toys and whatnot, like that kind of support as they're growing. Kids do not need any toys. Kids could live a very full, happy childhood without any toys. They would play with the stuff they have around them, sticks, cardboard. They would find things, right? And so kids don't actually need any toys. We have overwhelmed them with way too many toys. It's not good for their brains, right? If you get overwhelmed when you look at their play space, they are 10 times as much overwhelmed by it. They are not good at managing inventory, all of this stuff. And so what happens is we see kids bounce from one toy to the next, and it's not good because they never get fully engrossed in creative imaginative play. And that's where the magic happens for kids. We want to set the stage for them to do creative play. And so what that looks like is taking all of your toys now, boxing up 90% of them. You can start with less than that, but anything they've outgrown makes noise. You don't have to have anything battery operated, missing pieces, anything like that. Box it all up, set it aside, and just keep out the open-ended things. Legos, Duplos, building blocks, Magnetiles. It's things that they can be creative with. We always had like a few baby dolls, some play food, but it's letting them be creative and create. So we want to set the stage for them to be creative. I mean, the most popular things for our kids growing up was access to cardboard boxes in the recycling bin. And then I had lots of masking tape or painter's tape. I let them use scissors and markers, the things that they would come up with. It was so cool. And so I stripped away all these toys that are not helping them. That's just been marketed to us, right? And again, it's confusing. We just came through Christmas. When kids open those things, they're like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. This is the best ever. And then they don't play with them anymore, right? It's because those things are not actually conducive with imaginative, creative play. And so we want to set the scene. So box it all up. And you can just tell your kids, like, hey, we're doing an experiment. I'm just going to try this, right? If they have brand new toys that they like leave some of those out. But most of the stuff, box up, set aside for a month. I almost guarantee you that you will never take them back out again. This is, again, what I've heard from not only myself, but lots of other women too. And so, this will be one of the best things you ever do for your kids and your household. Your kids will be less crabby. You'll be less crabby. They will not be asking you to entertain them. Creativity comes just past boredom. So yeah, there'll still be times where they'd rather go on the iPad or they don't want to go outside and play or whatnot. And we just say, not my problem to solve. Oh, go load the dishwasher, right? If my kids would say like, I'm bored, I'm like, oh, sweet. The dishwasher needs to be unloaded, right? Go take the laundry out of the dryer, whatever. I always had a task ready. And then what do you know? They found something to do again, right? And so boredom is not our problem to solve. We want them to solve that problem for themselves, but we got to set the stage for them to be creative. And then, yeah, that's where the magic starts to happen. Cindy says, my friends actually laugh at me as they think I'll never get decluttered. It's frustrating as I am ADHD and it is hard to stay decluttered even when I do good. Should I just not talk about it? Oh, Cindy, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's hurtful, to say the least, right? So they might not be safe to talk about this with. And what's so hard for anyone with neurodiversities, I don't know if that's the proper way to say it, but ADHD, ADD, ODD, OCD, whether it's with yourself or in your kiddos, what's so hard is that you thrive in highly simplified environments. Thrive. The simpler, the better for your brain. And again, whether it's you as an adult or for your kids that have this as well, thrive in highly simplified environments because your brain, it really wants to know things have a spot. They're there when I need them. Very little inventory to manage. But the flip side of that coin and what's so frustrating is that it's often harder for you to declutter. Often you don't trust your decision making, or you get really hyper focused on decluttering for a little bit, but then you kind of fall off of it. Again, with our kids, with some of these, then you'll see like they have different attachments to their stuff. They can also get very hyper focused. Often they really like collections of things, and so it just becomes kind of complicated. And so it's so hard knowing you'll do so much better in a highly simplified environment. And I hope anyone who doesn't struggle with this, like you can really empathize with others in this situation. And I know you'll be supportive of them, right? But it's so hard because you want this, and it's also often harder for you to achieve. And so, again, this is where I would say community is huge. If you're not getting that in your natural environment and your natural network of people around you, then it might be worth investing, in something like our membership community for a little bit. We have many in there with ADHD. At least one of our coaches has ADHD too, and often talks about that. And she's been able to really get her home decluttered and simplified too. And so we have lots of women who have been successful, even working through ADHD and ADD and other things. But again, it does take some understanding. Sometimes we modify our tools a little bit for it. But absolutely, I do believe you can get decluttered. I do believe you can be successful with it. It's just probably having the right support around you. But also, I am so sorry your friends are like that. God, friends can just sometimes be so difficult, and I'm really sorry about that. Sometimes my husband wants to join in on the journey of decluttering with me. Do men join as well? Absolutely. I would say we are not anti-men in any way, at all. Is just often what we also find is women. It really depends. Like, I know some of you're men or the collectors and the whatever, but often men don't understand the sentimental stuff, the gifts, so we probably spend more time on some things that men wouldn't quite understand or don't relate to. But it's in no way anti-men, or I don't think you would ever feel embarrassed or uncomfortable if you were watching the videos or the live decluttering or anything like that. So yes. Thank you for our members who are on, and all your kind comments too. I really appreciate it. So, what do I do with empty drawers or cabinets? I've downsized my kitchen and I have a whole cabinet and drawer that are empty. I'm afraid that I'm just going to fill it with junk again. Yes, this is very real. And so I have found it helpful to put empty storage containers in there with a lid. And so I've joked before, like, when we first decluttered our house, or I did, we were in our townhouse, and Tom had built like this shelf around the whole garage that fit Rubbermaid totes perfectly, like a whole row of them all the way around. You could fit so many totes up there, right? And I knew that if I left that empty as I was emptying out those totes, it was just, a lot of storage stuff. I'm like, oh, he is going to fill that back up. And again, not in a negative, like he wouldn't be trying to undo the work I've done, but it was just like the right height for him to like just, stick stuff up there. And so I put back all the totes empty. And then the joke was when we went to move, he started pulling them down. He's like, these totes are empty. And I'm like, oh yeah, about that. Right. So I do think many of us, it depends how you're wired and how disciplined you are with it, but do need to put some kind of empty containers back there to prevent it. It's still easy to shove and whatever stuff when we get busy or whatnot. So I would, for me, that's helpful. If you know yourself and you're like, yeah, there's probably a good likelihood I'll fill it back up again. Yeah, Johanna says, how to think if you don't have the economy for buying it again, if I will need it in the future. Yes, 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 1000%. Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's so much uncertainty with the future for all of us, right? And so, I love what John Deloney says. He said, anxiety is trying to predict the future. And I'm like, but that's what we're doing when we're decluttering. I'm holding something up and saying, will I need it in the future or not? I haven't used it in the past 2 Christmases, but what if next year, right? That can be anxiety inducing. And so again, we have to flip the script and say, okay, but is this item supporting who I want to be? Is this item helping me to eat healthier, be more active, be more present with my kids, not explode at my kids, to keep my house clean? Because I know we all do better when it's tidy and clean. Is this mug helping me with that? No. So would it be worth maybe a slight inconvenience next winter to not have this for all these other benefits? And here's the thing though, Johanna, and this is why we go slowly and we go over time. Like, I don't expect anyone to declutter their whole house in a weekend, is because you have to build up that confidence. So I have the confidence right now to say, oh my goodness, I understand when I started this, we had no extra money for anything. Everything came from hand-me-downs, garage sales, thrift stores, whatever. Right. But I have the confidence now looking back at me and like, oh wow, I didn't miss any of that stuff. Like the kids' clothes and the shoes and the stuff like that, I would have thought like, oh, but you're gonna need that. There was always another garage sale, another hand me down. Like, stuff is so easy to come by now. And again, not that like that's what I would remind myself, but I never ended up replacing any of it. If anything, I just wanted to keep going further and further. And so if I felt like I was continually seeing like members in our group and the women in our group being like, oh no, I had to rebuy this. Oh no, I made a financial mistake. Oh no, this is costing me. I would be like, okay, let's be a little more cautious here. Not the experience at all. Everyone I hear and talk to is like, "Oh, I didn't miss it. Oh, yeah, now I have more money because I'm not wasting money on things. I'm not rebuying stuff. I'm not impulse buying. I'm not shopping to feel better. I've been able to get out of debt. I cook at home more. I don't eat out. Like, and so I think what you're saying is so valid, and it's a very valid concern that we have. And also, I'd like to lend you my confidence to say, and I also don't think you're gonna have to worry about it. I don't think it's gonna be a problem. Now, again, if there's something that's more expensive, if I'm holding up, I'm trying to look for something expensive around me, right? If I'm holding up something really expensive, like a big electronic thing, skip over it right now. But if we're talking things from the dollar store, if all hell broke out loose in the world and we had nothing anymore, like a snowman mug is not gonna save my butt, right? Like, doesn't matter, right? So maybe some extra blankets or heater or water. I don't know, right? Like, there's very few things that we really, really need. But if it's super hard or costly, skip over it. But so much of this other stuff, hats, inconsequential, doesn't matter. So build up your decluttering muscles on this kind of stuff. And then when we get to the harder decisions, the expensive stuff, the photos, the sentimental stuff, you're going to have that confidence in yourself because you're going to have this track record of like, oh yeah, I got rid of it. I didn't miss it. I got rid of it. I didn't miss it. I got rid of it. No one missed it. I never had to replace it. This isn't costing me money. Wow, I'm actually saving money. Oh, I have more money available to me now than I used to in the past. Right. And ultimately, I think that we're meant to live life open handed, no matter what your faith background or beliefs. I think we've probably all experienced when we cling, when we try and stock up, when we try to take more than we need. I've shared that quote before, like, to take more than you need is greed. It doesn't work out. We forget about it. It gets water damage, pest damage, something happens to it, right? And so I don't think that's how we're meant to live. I think we're meant to live more open-handed and to trust that the things we need do come to us when we need them. Now, again, that takes time to learn and confidence, and we build that in ourselves, but I believe that's going to be your experience as well. But mostly, I like at the end of the day, again, if we zoom out big picture, I want you. Oh, shoot, I don't want to get emotional. Oh, I should take down the picture of the kids. Shoot. I want you, whatever success looks like for you, whatever the best version of yourself is, whatever you've wanted to do, but you keep disqualifying yourself, shoot, darn it. I want that for you so much. I want you to have a decluttered house. I don't actually care about decluttering that much. I want you to have an environment that sets you up for success, that is not sabotaging you anymore, that is helping you to feel confident and empowered and like you can take on these things that you have always wanted to do. That's what excites me. That's what I want to help you achieve. And I want you to be able to look back a year from now and be like, wow, that was like that decision I made back on January 1st of 2026 to declutter my house and just put the blinders on and go all in on that. That is one of the best decisions that I have ever made. And I didn't know at the time how powerful it was going to be, but holy crap. Like, wow. Like, I see now how my environment was working against me and how I do have willpower. I do have self-control. I do have the ability to do things that I thought I couldn't anymore. I want that so much for you. I want you to be sending pictures and being like, hey, shoot, look what I did, right? That's what I want for you. And that's what I think is so important right now. So again, if I can challenge you with anything, go all in on getting your house decluttered. I think it is one of the best decisions that you will ever make. This stuff does not matter, right? This stuff doesn't matter. And I know we're short on bandwidth and mental capacity, and especially if you're going through like a really hard season right now, I know it can feel kind of hard. So if we can come around you and support you and cheer you on and help create that environment where you can be successful, may we please do that. May I please help you in that way, because I really think it will be one of the best investments and decisions that you ever make. All right. Well, I love you. I'm so glad that we got to spend this time together today, because I do believe in you. And I think it is just a matter of time for all this to click and come together for you too. And man, what an honor to get to be part of that with you. So, all right, I'm going to stop now, stop crying and pull myself together. But I love you. I am so grateful for you, all of your love and support and encouragement. It means way more than you know. And so I love you. I hope you have a great New Year's, and hopefully I will see you again really soon.